From the origin days of MCU till today, MCU has slowly revealed a large chunk of Thor's family tree throughout the years. Thor's MCU family is directly taken from Norse mythology, which doesn't focus exclusively on Thor's closest relatives. These Norse gods include a wide variety of deities, each with their own extensive history. Figures like Tyr, Mimir and Angerboda left their own mark on the Norse myth, and many of original Norse gods' relationships are quite different from the ones shown in the MCU. Although the MCU takes a different approach to Norse mythology, where we saw 5 generations of Thor's family tree, from Thor's great-grandfather to Thor's daughter. So let's start with Thor's great-grandfather, or we can say Odin's grandfather, Buri. In the MCU, Buri is Thor's earliest known relative, and the only time when Buri is alluded to us is in 2011's Thor. This is the time when Odin exiles Thor to Earth, in the name of his father and grandfather.
In the name of my father, and his father before, I Odin, all father, cast you out!
However, the name Buri is never explicitly mentioned on screen. While its MCU canon status is still questionable, but Thor the Dark World Prelude tie-in comic book does feature Buri, as Thor gives a speech to the Asgardian army. Buri is one of the earliest known gods in Norse mythology, so his history isn't well known. However, his role as the ancestor of the main Norse gods makes him a key figure. Thor's first movie is mainly focused on Thor's journey to the Midgard, but the second movie, Thor the Dark World, gives us some earliest history details. In Thor the Dark World, we get to see a flashback sequence of Thor's grandfather Bor, who is battling against the Dark Elves, 5,000 years before the arrival of Malekith in Dark World. As Odin recounts, Bor leads the Asgardian army in the battle, attempting to stop Malekith from using the ether during the convergence of the 9 realms. Bor succeeds with the help of the Bifrost and hid the ether, and Asgard thrives for the rest of Bor's reign. Like his father Buri, Bor's history in Norse mythology isn't too detailed. However, Bor is known for fathering Odin, Vili, and Ve, who paved the way for dozens of famous deities. Odin's time as king of Asgard might be the most important for the kingdom. In his reign, Odin conquers the 9 realms with the help of his daughter Hela, but he soon realizes that their brutality can end up catching up to them if they don't stop. After this, Odin stops his conquest, but Hela doesn't want to stop, so Odin then banishes Hela and starts a peaceful era for Asgard. After some centuries, Odin fights with the ice giants, where he loses one of his eye, but there he got something better to adopt. After the adoption of Loki and more than 1,000 years later, Odin expels Thor for his arrogance and gets impersonated by Loki, and then he spends his last days in Norway. Odin's death comes as a big turning point in Thor and Loki's life, because it somehow gives way to let free Hela. However, it also awakens Thor's inner power. If we go inside Norse mythology, there is many differences in between this and MCU counterpart. Odin is the leader of the Aesir, gods of war and order. In Norse mythology, Odin obtained his secret knowledge by sacrificing his eye to Mimir's well, and hanging himself from the Yggdrasil tree for 9 days and 9 nights. Although Odin does banish hell by himself in the original myths, however, he dies after Fenrir swallows him, and it's Odin's son Vidar who kills the giant wolf in revenge. Odin's 2 ravens Hugin and Munin, as well as his 8-legged horse Sleipnir, are accurately portrayed in the MCU. Frigga makes her MCU debut alongside the Asgardian royal family in 2011's Thor, but her most important appearance comes in Thor the Dark World, where she opposes the Dark Elves after they invade Asgard. Frigga hides the ether, protects Jane Foster, and outsmarts Malekith, which buys Thor enough time to arrive and fight the villain. Frigga's knowledge of magic and witchcraft allows her to understand that Thor comes from the future in Avengers Endgame, and Odin's preference for Thor during Loki's childhood motivates Frigga to teach sorcery to the god of mischief, which is why Loki possesses a wide variety of magic powers that Thor lacks. In Norse mythology, Frigga is the queen of the goddesses and the patron goddess of marriage. Unlike the MCU, the Norse version of Frigga isn't Thor's mother. Instead, Frigga gives birth to Balder, while Odin's relationship with Jord results in Thor's birth. In the original version of Ragnarok, Frigga does everything she can to protect Balder, but Loki ultimately outsmarts her and kills her beloved son, kicking off a chain reaction that results in the end of the Norse world. Odin's victory over Loki's real father, the ice giant Laufey, puts Loki's extensive MCU history in motion. Odin adopts Loki after Laufey abandons him, Frigga teaches him sorcery, and Odin's preference for Thor instills deep feelings of envy and resentment in Loki, which motivate all his evil deeds afterward. Loki changes affiliations multiple times and dies a hero at the hands of Thanos, but his story takes a drastic turn when a multiversal Loki variant exits his timeline, and faces the unexpected responsibility of protecting the time-space continuum, to stop it from collapsing and destroying the multiverse. Loki is one of the most important characters in all of Norse mythology. Born to the ice giant Farbati and the giantess Laufey, the trickster god betrays his fellow gods countless times. The Norse Loki is a gender-fluid shapeshifter, notable for fathering Hel and giving birth to Odin's horse Sleipnir. Unlike the MCU, it's Loki who causes Ragnarok after killing Balder and giving birth to the wolf Fenrir and the snake Jormungandr. Thor also owes Mjolnir's creation to Loki in the original myths, where Loki cuts off Sif's hair as a prank and crafts some items for her and Thor to apologize. Thor Ragnarok reveals the missing history of Odin's rule. Long before Thor is born, Odin's real firstborn child Hela wields Mjolnir, as she fights alongside Odin in Asgard's conquest of the Nine Realms. Odin doesn't want their violent methods to consume them, and Hela's unstoppable thirst for power leads Odin to imprison her and erase her from Asgard's history. Although Hela comes close to escaping after killing the Valkyries, she only manages to escape after Odin's death. In the MCU, Hela unleashes Ragnarok upon Asgard with the help of Searcher, but the fire demon apparently kills her while he destroys the kingdom. Hela's origin in Norse mythology is quite different. The goddess of death Hel is daughter to Loki and the giantess Angerboda, and unlike her MCU counterpart, she's the voluntary ruler of Helheim. She guards the souls of the people who don't die in battle, as opposed to the souls of the warriors, which are rewarded with Valhalla. Instead of causing Ragnarok, the original Hel only appears after Loki kills Balder, bringing an army of the dead from Helheim aboard a ship made of corpse fingernails to fight the Aesir. The MCU's first nod to Thor's brother Balder only comes in Loki Season 2 Episode 3, where Loki and Mobius find a statue dedicated to Balder at the 1893 World's Fair in Chicago. Surprisingly, Loki isn't too surprised to see Balder acknowledged in Midgard, but he reluctantly mentions that nobody knows him. Although Marvel has tried to introduce Balder 4 times in the past, the character has been cut from every movie. Since Balder the Brave has appeared in multiple Thor-related stories. Since his comic book debut in 1962, his MCU introduction is long overdue. Balder the Brave plays a central role in Norse mythology, given that his death is destined to bring Ragnarok upon the world. The most noble and benevolent of the Aesir, Balder is immune to every weapon and poison. However, Loki eventually takes advantage of Balder's only weakness to pull the biggest prank on the gods. Tricking Balder's blind brother Hod into shooting Balder with mistletoe, Loki kills Balder and kicks off the cataclysmic events of Ragnarok. Curiously, Balder is Odin and Frigga's only child in the Norse myths, unlike Thor. In Thor: Love and Thunder, character Love, played by Chris Hemsworth's real-life daughter India Rose, is an original character with no Norse or MCU counterpart. Love is Gor's daughter, whose death of starvation motivates Gor to begin a quest to kill all gods in the universe. While Gor fails to enact his plan, he manages to reach eternity and plead for his daughter's resurrection. Feeling compassion for the villain, Thor adopts Love and trains her. In Norse mythology, Thor has 2 sons with the giantess Jarnsaxa, Modi and Magni, and 1 daughter with Sif, Thrud. In Marvel Comics, Thor's only known daughter is Torunn, better known for fighting Ultron in next Avengers: Heroes of Tomorrow. So guys, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. To stay updated with more exciting content, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And before you go, Be sure to share this video with your friends. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.